everyone on YouTube, welcome to today's Explainer. Today we're diving into something that's literally all around us, right under our feet, yet we almost never actually think about it. I mean, if you zoom out and look at a satellite view of Earth, you're going to see forests, massive sprawling cities, deserts, farms, luxury estates, and every single inch of that land tells a story. Some of it grows the food we desperately need, some of it is hiding incredible mineral wealth deep underground, some of it powers our entire global economy, and honestly, some of it is worth way more than its weight in gold. So all of this really begs one massive central question about the single most valuable asset on our planet. Who actually owns the world? Seriously, have you ever stopped to wonder about that? When you're looking out your window, or maybe taking a road trip across the country, who is actually calling the shots on the ground beneath your feet? Well, spoiler alert, the answer is probably not who you think. The world's land isn't just controlled by some single giant monolithic group, not even close. Instead, it's chopped up across this unbelievably complex web of entities, all managed under totally different and, often overlapping legal systems. We are talking about this giant puzzle made up of governments, everyday private individuals, massive multinational businesses, and indigenous communities.
Okay, let's jump right into this with part one, the public portfolio.
You know, in a lot of countries, governments, whether that's national, regional, or even local, are actually some of the biggest landholders out there. They hold a massive chunk of the map for public use. We're talking rapid fire here. National parks, secure military bases, protected forests, those endless stretches of highways you drive on, delicate nature reserves, the public schools right down your street, and just countless government buildings. All of this is managed specifically for us, the public, playing a huge role in conservation, building out our infrastructure, and keeping nations secure.
Moving on to part two, private, everyday landowners.
Now let's zoom in on the stuff we interact with daily. This is the intensely familiar territory of private property. We're talking family homes, local farms, sprawling factories, those towering office buildings downtown, shopping centers, and massive agricultural estates. And what drives this? Well, it's individuals and families who own land for farming or forestry, and a lot of times this ownership goes back generations. It's basically a map that's constantly being drawn and redrawn by local zoning laws, historical inheritance, and just centuries of economic development. So what we get is this constant global balancing act. On one hand, you have public land, which is totally driven by the need for conservation, infrastructure, and keeping the country safe. But then, on the flip side, you've got private land, which is fundamentally all about commercial development, farming, and passing down wealth. It's this fascinating, ongoing tug of war between land held by governments for the collective good and land used by private folks for economic and personal growth.
All right, let's zoom way out again for part three, corporations and investment funds.
So, big multinational businesses and financial institutions, they treat the physical Earth like a massive, strategic, long-term asset. Energy companies are managing these incredibly vast oil and gas operations. Mining firms literally control the specific terrain they need to pull precious minerals out of the dirt. You've got timber companies overseeing heavily managed forests, real estate developers building out massive projects, and institutional investment funds just scooping up farmland, warehouses, and commercial properties. Why? Because land is a moneymaker. It generates super reliable income through leasing, development, and resource extraction.
Which brings us to a totally different model in part four, indigenous ancestral territories.
Because here's the thing. Not all land fits into those standard private or corporate buckets we just talked about. All over the world, indigenous peoples and local communities hold traditional and often legal rights to their ancestral territories. These are absolutely vital lands that have been lived on, understood, and carefully managed way, way before our modern property systems even existed. And these two systems, they operate with entirely different end goals. Corporate management is, mostly focused on generating income, rapid development, and extracting resources. Meanwhile, indigenous management is usually all about preserving cultural traditions, protecting rich biodiversity, and managing resources in a way that's actually sustainable long-term. It's literally two completely different paradigms for what land is actually meant to do. But it's really crucial to point out that indigenous land rights aren't just a uniform thing across the globe. The recognition of these rights varies wildly from country to country. It creates this incredibly complex landscape that is literally evolving right now, as we speak, through new laws and ongoing legal battles around the world. Okay, let's talk about why this is getting so tense in part 5, the economics of scarcity. Listen to this for a second. Land is finite. No one is making more of it. I mean, really let that sink in. The absolute scarcity of the Earth's surface is practically the defining economic reality of our time. Everything we want to do, everything we could ever want to build, has to happen on the exact same, completely limited surface area. And as our global population just keeps growing and our cities keep expanding outward, the demand for this finite resource is absolutely skyrocketing. We desperately need land for housing, right? But wait, we also need it for agriculture, so we can actually feed everyone. Plus, we need vast areas for renewable energy grids, heavy industry, bigger transportation networks, and, oh yeah, conservation so we don't destroy the planet. These competing demands create this massive tension, forcing some incredibly tough choices about how we use what little space we have.
So where do we go from here? Part 6, the future of land.
To handle this crazy scarcity, technology is stepping in to save the day, and it's unfolding fast. We literally have satellites up in space right now, constantly monitoring massive forests and tracking changes in real time. We've got drones buzzing over farms to map out exactly how to maximize crop yields without taking up more space. And governments are using advanced digital maps to modernize their records, which drastically improves urban planning and helps clear up land disputes that have been dragging on for decades. And guys, we absolutely need this tech because the pressure is only getting worse. Thanks to climate change, rapid urbanization, and massive population growth, figuring out how to optimize our land management is more important right now than it has literally ever been in human history. Because when you get right down to it, land isn't just some piece of property. It isn't just a line drawn on a map. Land is our food, it's our water, it's our energy, it's nature, it's culture, and it's opportunity. Understanding who controls it is absolutely essential to understanding how our modern world actually functions. The single most valuable asset on Earth isn't locked away in some bank vault. It is literally the ground beneath our feet. Which leaves us with one final, incredibly important question to chew on. Who is going to shape its future? As we face all these challenges coming our way, who will protect, who will develop, and who will ultimately depend on the Earth's most valuable asset? Thank you so much for hanging out with me on YouTube for this explainer. Keep asking these massive questions, and I'll catch you guys next time.